Smiley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Thursday, April 27th. So, as I mentioned yesterday, the moon in Cancer in her place of power went void, of course, early evening, preparing to lock into Leo energy here at 2:31 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So anytime we're shifting out of the very emotional, very intuitive water energy of Cancer into the fiery energy of Leo, we definitely feel the energy shift. We become a little bit more expressive, a little bit more bold and courageous to really tell people how it is that we've been kind of introverted, what it is that we've been exploring in our heart and in our head. This Leo energy definitely creates a higher frequency for us to really tap into new creative energies. And it also puts us in a position where we're not really shying away from the spotlight. We do have things on our head and on our heart space that we would like to share, and we're finally getting the courage, the bravery that we need to actually be expressive in what it is that we've realized within ourselves. Now, we are moving towards the first quarter moon taking place in Leo energy, the heart and soul of the zodiac. And this is pretty profound just because this marks the halfway point in between the eclipses that we just had one and we're preparing to have another. Now, the eclipse portal doesn't officially close until we have the new moon in Taurus later on in May. So we are still very much in this eclipse energy, and the first quarter moon is always a point of revelation. It's a point of us making a decision, us seeing where it is that we want to go from here. It is an action point that usually gets created through a tension-filled experience of realizing what it is that we no longer want to pour into, want to build, want to create. And of course, in Leo energy, we really have to be heart aligned. We have to be real. We have to be raw. We have to be authentic with ourselves and really just kind of stand firm in recognizing that our heart is kind of dictating to us what it is that we have to set ourselves up to pursue. So there is going to be some pressure here today. Lots of heart activations, lots of head pressure as well. And as we build towards the first quarter moon, when it peaks in its energy, there is a lot of restlessness, there is a lot of frustration, there is a lot of tension. So just be mindful of that. There are 9 different aspects here today. 7 of them involve the moon. So the moon, still very much in Cancer energy, but void of course, makes a positive interaction with Saturn, the ruler of karma, of roles, of responsibilities. Now, this is an interesting dynamic just because that Cancer energy is a water sign, Pisces energy that Saturn is in is a water sign as well, and both of them have a commonality, which is that they're too connected, too attached, too fixated to the past. So what we're doing here is we're recognizing what doors we need to close on the past. Again, we're in retrograde season, looking back, reflecting, revising, reworking, reorganizing, redoing a lot of the things that we are now identifying not working for us. So Saturn's job is to kind of slow us down, show us where it is that we are being held back or restricted in life. But because we're in Pisces energy, this is old emotional baggage. This is old trauma. This is just old experiences that have essentially created a set of limiting beliefs within us that is constantly being brought into the present moment and affecting the possibilities of our future based off of what happened many, many moons ago. So this is a realization on what it is that we can kind of loosen our grip on, what it is that we're okay to let go of, what it is that we have recognized that we're overly attached to, what it is that we've recognized are essentially blocking us from moving forward, and we're rewriting that program. Again, the Pisces energy that Saturn is in is great for this because we can provide an ending and a closure. The Pisces energy itself is very cleansing, very purifying, brings us back to a wholeness type of state, while the moon in Cancer is very heart space rooted in recognizing what it is that we need as far as our basic needs go, especially where safety, security, and stability is concerned. Now, we shift into the moon being in Leo energy at 2:31 a.m., again, Eastern Standard Time. About 20 minutes later, we have our very first aspect with the moon in Leo, which is a positive interaction with Uranus, who of course is in Taurus energy. Now, this is going to be a good vibe, but it's going to bring a lot of electricity into our bodies, which could manifest as excitement, anxiety, restlessness. There is a lot of energy management lessons coming at us here today. Now, the moon is bold and brave and courageous in this Leo energy. We want to share. We want to have new experiences. We want to really express ourselves. And this Uranian energy kind of jolts us, shocks us, shows us what is possible if we were just to leave the old elements of ourselves behind. And in doing so, kind of illuminates for us where it is that newness can be brought into life, where there's an element of creation that actually wants to be manifested. But we have to be bold and brave and courageous enough to not only let the past go, not only venture into foreign territory, but to continuously take that step forward in progression, in exploring this new territory to see what is absolutely possible for us when we get out of our own way. The moon will directly sit across from and oppose Pluto. Pluto is in Aquarius energy. So Leo and Aquarius energy sit across from each other in the zodiac wheel. The moon in Leo wants us to kind of be heartfelt, heart-led, wants to tap into playful energy, wants to tap into creativity, wants us to be truly expressive from our real, raw, vulnerable selves. The Plutonian energy wants to boss us up to new levels of power and control in our lives through empowerment, of really recognizing where our dark story or our pain story has been gifted to us to push us into this new level of ourselves. So the Aquarian energy is definitely representative of where boundaries are needed, because many of us learning a very tough love life lesson these days in recognizing where it is that we are constantly putting ourselves, our own wants, needs, and desires on the back burner in order to do what we think other people want us to do or what we feel committed or obligated to do. And of course, that is not doing anything good for our own individual selves. And that's what the Leo and Aquarius energy is all about. How we can be our unique individual selves, and where it is that sometimes we try too hard to fit in. We're not meant to fit in. We're here to stand out. So this is definitely going to be an intense energy to recognize where it is that we feel held back, where we feel blocked, where we feel restricted on being our true individual selves, and where it is that a lot of the rejection, a lot of the abandonment, a lot of our pain stories and experiences that have kind of taught us to play small and to dim our light, where those particular experiences have been divinely scripted in order to actually push us into our power, so that we're standing out, we're standing firm, we're tapping into that bold, brave, courageous energy of the lion, and we are actually doing what is right for us, realizing that when we are happy, when we are doing what it is that we need to be doing for ourselves, that is the main way that we can make a change to the collective. Again, the Aquarian energy, very representative of the collective, while the Leo energy, very, very connected to our individual selves. Now, here's where things get a little bit bumpy. Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, even our anger, who is in this Cancer energy, which is not the place that he wants to be in, is going to get into the boxing ring and square off with Chiron, the wounded healer, who is in this Aries energy. So let's talk about this for a second, because this is going to be a major sore point for a lot of us here today. This is essentially bringing up old emotional wounds. Why? Because Cancer energy is involved, where we're very attached to the past. Chiron, of course, no brainer, is illuminating the wounds in order for us to feel it, so then we can essentially heal it. But Mars, who brings a lot of aggression, a lot of tension to the mix, he's definitely feeling pressurized. He doesn't want to be in this emotional and intuitive Cancerian energy anymore. He wants to go on and take action. He wants to really kind of prove himself, make up for lost time, if you will. So this particular interaction is definitely going to have us on edge. This is going to bring up a lot of agitation, a lot of irritability, a lot of anger, And here's the thing, it's super challenging for us to even be able to put it into words within ourselves of why we're feeling these particular ways, let alone try to express that out to the world or to those that need to hear it. Again, Mercury's retrograde. We're not doing so good when it comes to articulating ourselves and having the kind of conversations that we need to have to get on the same page, to clear the space, to clear the air. And so we can't figure out why we're as angry and agitated as we are. We can't even figure out what it is that we want to pursue from here. We don't really, I would say this would be a day where we're not really sure on our direction, on our path, on what makes us excited, what brings a new passion or desire to our realm. And therefore, we're just a little bit defensive. And we have a want, need, and desire to kind of fight back against everything, even ourselves. And it's kind of like projection, if you will. We're so uncomfortable within ourselves and we don't know why, that there is a high probability of us taking it on other people. So we want to be very careful to not do that. But we're overly touchy. We're edgy. Anything can set us off. And so I would invite you to do the shadow work, which is to dive into the uncomfortability of some of these thoughts and feelings and find the primary root cause of what is actually bothering you, what is actually angering you. It might just be the straw that breaks the camel's back as far as a small little tidbit that sets you off here today, but there's a deeper root cause for the emotions, the negative ones that you're currently experiencing. So definitely give yourself time to explore why you feel held back, why you feel restricted, why you feel angered. What is bringing you down? What is blocking you? What is challenging you? What is this? Because again, you need to bring it to the surface of your consciousness, of your awareness, in order for us to feel it so that we can essentially work on healing it. Definitely going to be a sore point within the day. The moon goes ahead and semi-squares, which is a little bit of a tension point with Venus. So Venus being the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, money, and Gemini energy, very divided. We have polarized, dualistic choices. We have polarized decisions. There's one path that is old, tried, tested, and true and familiar. There's another path that is totally unfamiliar, totally unpredictable, that carries a lot of adventurous spirit if you're able to tap into that mindset, but mostly fear because we don't know what to expect. And sometimes staying in the circumstances that are uncomfortable, although very uncomfortable, we don't want to experience them. They're predictable, which is a much better situation and circumstance for most people, instead of actually putting ourselves out there in foreign territory where we don't know what to expect at all. So this particular interaction is definitely going to be a deep heart activation. So definitely feeling those ascension symptoms in our heart space. Listen to the ascension forecast for this week if you haven't already. And even if you have, maybe listen to it again, refresh yourself on the physical symptoms that we're experiencing with some of these energy shifts. But this is definitely putting us in a situation where we're realizing what isn't making us happy, what isn't comfortable, what we don't want anymore, where it is that we feel blocked, where it is that we feel torn. And again, the moon being in Leo energy, we have to get in alignment with our real, raw, vulnerable, authentic selves in order to figure out what it is that we need to create. And of course, we are only illuminated to what it is that we have to bring to life by what it is that's actually ending and dying in our lives. Again, we've outgrown certain roles and responsibilities. We've outgrown certain soul contracts. And it's time to get real with what it is that's actually ending so that we can get real with what it is that we want to build in its place. The moon will then get into the boxing ring and square off with the true note. So the true note is our soul path, our destiny point. It's the direction that we need to be on to reach our soul's mission, our soul's purpose. And right now, we don't know what that is. We're questioning everything. Why? Well, because we're in eclipse season, we're in retrograde season, and we're just in the phase of the calendar where we really do have to get real and raw and vulnerable with ourselves, whether or not we're on autopilot, just moving forward with the circumstances, with the elements that we've already built and created just because we've already done that and it feels comfortable and familiar, or where it is that we have to wake up, get ourselves off of autopilot, and realize what it is that our heart is asking us to pursue. This does not feel good. We question our path forward. We question our growth. We question our healing. But the questioning is a good thing, even though it doesn't feel so good, because it illuminates us on where it is that we're not so sure about certain circumstances and elements that we currently have going on in our lives. The moon will then interact with Saturn in such a way that is a little bit of a learning opportunity, but comes out of some very intense discomfort. So Saturn, of course, the Lord of Karma, he's ruling over roles and responsibilities. He's showing us where we have to have more willpower, more structure, more discipline in our lives. He's in Pisces energy, trying to wrap up the previous 30-year cycle. He's putting us through the emotional ringer, so to speak, in order for us to kind of see very clearly where it is that we've lied to ourselves, where we've deluded ourselves, where we've lived too much in fantasy land, where it is that we need to kind of give ourselves a reality check, really cut the crap, cut the lies, cut the delusion, get very real with what it is that we actually believe in. So this is going to feel very heavy, very weighted. We have a lot of roles and responsibilities being thrown at us right now. We have to move into that heart space, realize whether or not we're doing it because we actually want to do it or do it because we feel like we have to do it. We've made a commitment, we've made an obligation that maybe we're not in alignment with, which should be a good indicator on what we have to let go of. And then what are we going to build in its place? So this is going to definitely put us through the ringer as far as our thoughts and emotions go. Use the existential dread, use the, I'm going to say, exhaustion of having to continue to do the same old over and over again as an indicator on where it is that you could spice things up, where it is that maybe you need to cut the cord with certain roles and responsibilities altogether. And of course, get in alignment with that heart space on what it is that you want to create and build in its place. Venus will go ahead and semi-square the true note, the north note. Now, this is interesting because Venus, of course, very confused in this Gemini energy, on the fence on what it is that she wants to choose for herself, where happiness, joy, pleasure is concerned, where safety, security, stability is concerned. There are definitely almost too many irons in the fire, I would say. And because she is very curious, she's wanting to explore, she's kind of willing to abandon old paths to see if the grass is greener on the other side, we're really not sure what the path forward looks like. And again, that true node is our soul path, our destiny point. We might not feel like we want to continue walking the plan that we had for ourselves even this time last week. Again, we're in eclipse season, we're in retrograde season, things pop off, we become, I'm going to say, illuminated to where it is that we've been on autopilot, just accepting things as they were, not realizing that we've been pulled into a different direction, a different pursuit of happiness, if you will. So this is really going to show us where it is that we're not so sure what the future holds. We're not so sure what we're willing to let go of to see if the grass is greener on the other side. We're not so sure whether we are as bold and brave and courageous as the moon wants us to be to actually put an end to certain topics and themes that have become stagnant in order for us to build and grow something more, I guess, stimulating in its place. So there's definitely some pressure, questioning ourselves, building up there. And then at 5:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's when the moon is going to square with the sun. And this is what gives us our first quarter moon in Leo energy. This is the halfway point in the eclipses. This is 1 week into Mercury's retrograde. So we're really starting to do the reworking, the restructuring, the reorganizing, the reflection, if you will, on our current circumstances. But nonetheless, the first quarter moon always provides us with an aha moment, and it usually comes from tension. And as you have clearly seen, today is filled with all kinds of activations and triggers. And from that, it creates a action plan, right? What we feel compelled to kind of let go of, to cut the cord with, that is no longer serving us, and what we feel compelled to actually take action upon as far as bringing new elements to life. So this is going to be a bumpy ride, I would say, just because whatever it is that we realize, of course, we can't bring it to life and expect everything to go smoothly in eclipse and retrograde season. So there's a lot of thinking and feeling our way through what our next plan, what the next step in our strategy actually would be.